Hey everybody, Duel666 here, back for July 27th for the next update today. This is my second attempt at getting this up. My first attempt I uploaded earlier today, and it was blocked worldwide on a copyright claim. So as you can see, I've changed my angles, and I'm no longer featuring any films during my update. I'll have to do some research. Perhaps I can bring this element back in the future, just to know which films not to display or however it goes. But for the time being, just to get this update up tonight, giving it a second attempt. Taking all day to cool down. I was pretty pissed off about it, but so here we go. You guys know how we like to get this going. I believe I'll start it this way this time. Cheers, everybody. Nothing fancy today, just some Coors Light. Cheers once again. Alright, I'm going to try and go a little speedier than I did earlier in the day, because it's getting late and I want to get this thing up really quickly here. So we're going to start it off with Slashercom. This came out in 2017. I just watched this really recently. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting. It was quite a bit of some pretty ridiculous overacting, but the characters I felt were at least like memorable enough that you know, it wasn't too out of place. You know, it seemed to be pretty well and consistent, you know, as far as the behavior that they were trying to convey. So it wasn't too bad. The acting wasn't too bad. The plot itself I thought was kind of thin, but it is what it is. I don't really consider it all too much of a slasher film, honestly, but it was pretty fun. You know, you should definitely check it out. So there's that first one there. Next one here is going to be a multi-pack. It's a remote viewing, and it has 2 extra things on it. It's got, sorry, it says 2, but there's actually 3 on here. So it's the main film, remote viewing, kind of a found footagey documentary style, sort of treasure hunt film. Not necessarily horror, but you know, I had a good enough time with it. It was worth the watch. And what I really bought this for was the other bonus stuff. So the first thing I didn't really know about, Chronicles of the Paranormal, PSI Factor. Some sort of ghost adventure-y sort of show like that, I imagine. I haven't really watched all of them, but the first episode was not bad, so I'll give that a try as I go along. But what I really bought this for was Phantom from Space. I don't know if you guys can read that, this new angle. Hoping it's offsetting that glare a little bit, like really been trying to improve that. Yeah, Phantom from Space. I'm not really sure which year it came out, but I think it's from the 50s. And then also this unreleased television, just a set of pilots starring Boris Karloff. He's the host of a show called The Veil. It's very much like Twilight Zone or Tales from the Crypt, stuff like that. So those being very, very good. I really like Phantom from Space, very cheesy sci-fi sort of thing, and then The Veil was also just like, it's Boris Karloff, man. It was a good time. So you should definitely take a look for that if you're interested in any of that. You know, the bonus features being more interesting in my opinion. So get on to the next one. This is something that I wasn't exactly looking for. It kind of just appeared, and I said, all right, I'll give it a try. See it there, The Intruders with Miranda Cosgrove. I believe this came out in 2014 as well. Yep, 2014. This is a PG-13 sort of thrillery, not necessarily super horror, but you know, it wasn't terrible. I don't want to say it was terrible, but I don't remember having too good of a time watching it. It was pretty hard to sit through it, as I recall. So it is what it is. The Intruders. Managed to snag it for I believe it says like $3 on that sticker. Not bad. It is what it is. You just have to sift through stuff like that to get to the stuff you want. Then next up is something I've been wanting for a very long time. I really love this series. The first 2 are so cheesy and stupid. I really like the first one the best, but the second one is not bad either. So it's the Scarecrow series. This one's the 3rd installment, Scarecrow Gone Wild. Very funny, very cheesy, very stupid. You have to really be searching for something like this. When I was a kid, these were like the movies that you saw in the video rental stores, and we're just like, wow, what is that? And you know, seeing them nowadays, it's a whole different thing. But you know, it comes from a good place for me, so it's a soft spot for this sort of stuff for me, you know. But there's that. Next up, I have one of these little thin sleeves from Family Dollar, I believe I got this from. This is an animated and like horror anthology movie from France called Fears of the Dark. And I'll take it out. You can check out the disc art. So yeah, this wasn't really bad at all. Kind of weak for IFC films, but I don't think it's an IFC midnight film. It's just IFC. So, you know, I'm willing to give it a break. You know, it seemed a bit more like maybe PG-13 oriented, but I don't see a rating on this disc, so I'm not really sure what it's rated. But it was pretty fun for what it was, you know. It being $2, I have no problem picking up something like this and just watching it once here and there. It was fun. It'll definitely come back with some, like, themed marathons here in this house. There's that. Fears of the Dark. This next one is something that I wasn't super big into when I saw it the first time. I really liked the way it set itself up. It was a solid fucking premise. Really good acting, great direction, and great camera work. And I feel like the plot just completely fell out at the end. Get Out, though, is the film I'm talking about, of course. I'm sure you just saw me hold it up there. So, really, it's not a bad film. I just was kind of underwhelmed with how they chose to wrap it up. It seemed I was taking this film so serious, and perhaps it's, you know, it's not my favorite. I'm definitely going to give it a rewatch. You know, I'll probably like it better the next time. But as of right now, you know, I got to go down as saying I was not a big fan the first time I watched it. Overall, like, such a great setup, but just failed to execute, in my opinion. But still not a bad film. That was Get Out. This next one was really different from the franchise that it comes from. At least I believe so. I thought I read somewhere that this was entangled with the rest of the Leprechaun series. But it's Leprechaun Origins. This just came out a few years ago, maybe 2016, I think. No, 2014, actually, a little earlier. So it's not your typical Leprechaun movie, if that's what you were looking for. The monster in this movie is actually fairly terrifying. This is not a bad film at all. Yeah, I had a good enough time watching it. I just, if it is part of the Leprechaun series, for real, like, I feel like it would do better as a standalone, because I don't even know, it doesn't even seem like a leprechaun. It's like some sort of horrible, vicious monster, man. It's pretty entertaining, though, so check that out. So we're going to get into a few Blu-rays right now. This next one is also in the Leprechaun series. It's Leprechaun Returns. This just came out a couple years ago in 2018, I believe. And honestly, this is probably my favorite sequel overall. This had really gory, cool kills. The same shit-talking little fucker that we all love. I thought it was very well done. It was a great return to what I really liked about the Leprechaun series that I just didn't enjoy so much with Leprechaun in the Hood. You know, those are fun movies too. I got nothing wrong with those movies. I have no problem with them whatsoever. I just feel like this really delivers for a Leprechaun fan. So definitely check that out. Very fun film. Speaking of fun films, this is something that I've wanted a long time as well, but just I don't know why I've never picked it up. Found a cheap Blu-ray, finally scooped it up. It's Heavy Metal from 1981. And this is a classic animated film. It's not necessarily horror, but I feel it's pretty important to bring it up when you buy that. So, yeah, Heavy Metal. You gotta have that one. What more can you really say? Next up, something that I bought on Blu-ray that I didn't really like at all. I kind of held off going to see it in theaters because I just didn't even think the premise was all that great. And upon further inspection, finally getting a copy of it, I feel that the Bye Bye Man is not very good at all. It just, the whole premise for me is not so great. I thought it was just the most laughable, stupid thing I'd seen in mainstream horror in a long time. You know, I didn't go into it with high hopes, but it still kind of let me down. So, if you must, there it is, the Bye Bye Man. Alright, so now on to a really cool Blu-ray release. It'll be the last one in this update. It's an Arrow release, so you know, it's going to be really cool. Got Blood Rage from 1987, though it was made in '83. Now, if anybody everybody knows that has this, obviously. I'm just being a prick. So anyways, you know, there's some pretty cool stuff in here. It's quite a few discs. It's pretty cool. The cover art is indeed reversible, and I'll show you that when I talk about this film in the future. But there's also this little card here with a bunch of titles as well. So I'll look through that, see what I want to seek out. But overall, I was kind of shocked to see that I actually already own this movie. I may have already talked about it in a video long time ago, but it's actually Nightmare at Shadow Woods, which came out in 1987. I'm watching this, and as I'm watching it, I'm starting to think to myself, this is very familiar. Go over here in the back of my collection somewhere where, you know, I was looking around, and come to find out it's the same film. So it's pretty cool to have, you know, a special edition of this. I don't think I'll be parting with my other copy either, because it's got the other name, and I think that that's pretty cool. So yeah, there's that. Blood Rage is a pretty solid, cheesy little slasher from the late 80s. Definitely check that out. Gonna wet my palate real quick. Alright, the next one we got here is The Bride. This came out in 2016, I believe. This was actually something that I really enjoyed. Watched this really early in the day. It's not something I normally do. But it allowed me to take it in pretty well. This was pretty original. I've never seen anything quite like it. Acting wasn't quite atrocious, so, you know, it's got that going for it. But, you know, just some pretty fun kills. I wouldn't even I don't even know what to classify this as. It's kind of part slasher, part ghost story sort of stuff. Sort of like true crimey, sort of weird stuff like that too, I guess. I don't know. It was a good time, and I got it pretty cheap over at Family Dollar, so seek that out. The Bride was really cool. Alright, got a triple pack of some really classic Munsters right here. Munster Go Home, The Munsters Revenge, and Munsters Family Portrait. What more can you really say about these? I'm not going to sit here and talk about them too long. You guys should all know what this is. I've been seeking out these films for a long time. Not necessarily in the multi-pack like this, but, you know, this is the first, like, piece of Munsters that I have in my collection, so until I acquire some better editions, this is going to have to serve for a while. So, pretty happy to have this. Next up, we have something really cool. Been seeking this out for a while. When I first watched these movies, I didn't think that they were all that great, but they've grown on me over the years because they came out at such a pivotal young age for me in, like, grade school. So, you know, this is what all me and my friends were talking about. And over the years, I've acquired, like, a pretty fucking good, you know, appreciation for what these are. But I'd never seen this third one. And man, oh man, is it different from what I remember. I feel as though most of the classic element of the first two films is just stripped away in this one. But it's not necessarily a bad film. It was worth watching. It's definitely the weakest in my opinion, though. But, you know, I'm a completist, so there it is. Jeepers Creepers 3. Alright. Next one we have here comes from 1920. Really cool silent film version of, yeah, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. God, how could I space it? Anyways, the makeup in this is actually surprisingly really good for the time. Super chilling character. You know, as with most silent films, the music's a bit out there, but this was overall really fun. This is just way primitive filmmaking at its peak, in my opinion. Great lighting, great camera work. You know, I can't say much for the silent acting. It's not really my forte, but, you know, the whole movie comes together really well, so it's a fun experience. Next up, we jump about 30 years ahead. We have Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. Pretty classic Abbott and Costello stuff. It seems that the plot for these movies always seems to be the same. So, you know, you pretty much know what you're going to get into when you watch this. But it's super classic. Like, Abbott and Costello, you know, on their own are pretty damn funny for what they are. And you put that with the Universal classic monsters, you can't lose, man. So there it is. Abbott and Costello meet the Mummy. Alright, it seems we are nearing the end here. So we're going to go to this last one here. This is something I ordered from Stinky Tuna. Just got it recently. And I wanted this film for a long time, but I was not aware that it was going to be so damn cheesy. But that being said, I had a really good time. Classic slasher, Final Exam from 1981. Some really laughable characters and dialogue. But overall, it's going to give you everything you want as far as a slasher goes. I'm not going to over-examine it. I really liked it a lot. It's going straight into the collection alongside some of my favorite movies, and yeah, I would say that you probably should seek it out as well. And it was pretty cheap, like I said, at stinkytuna.com. I'm not really sure what's going on with that site, but a lot of people have told me about it, and I finally, put the faith in and just ordered from them real quick, and hey, it came through. So there it is, Final Exam. That's going to be the final film in this update. And there's probably only a couple other things I want to talk about. I just joined a third band recently, so we did some rehearsals the other day. I'm going to link you guys the live video for that. Not live video, but like just the rehearsal video. It's like a phone cam. The audio is pretty bad, but you can definitely make out what's going on if you listen through headphones. So if you like Death Grind, I just joined the band Green Terror. Like I said, I'm going to provide links down below. Then I'll also, provide some of the same links I have been for the other bands I'm in, Perfect Being, Deceive the Dead, music videos, some demos and stuff. So there'll be that as usual. But other than that, I wanted to also mention that we're going to also be doing some horror novel, paperback, first editions, just talking about some horror-related books in the near future. Some of my people in the comments here, my good people, they have been asking for that, so we're going to probably get onto that as well. Definitely going to downscale. You can't go through books quite as quick as movies, so definitely going to talk about fewer books at a time and go a little slower with that. But it'll definitely be here pretty soon. Definitely have a few titles for the first installment of that series. I think that's about it. So I'm going to wrap this up. I hope everyone's well out there, and just continue to be well and be safe, and yeah, keep on creeping, everyone. Duel 666 out.